Yeah, like I'm sitting on my kitchen table because upstairs is too hot either. And yeah, I hate being sweaty. I'm extremely sweaty after having kids, like all the time.
Oh my gosh.
Just, I run way hotter and I'm like damp, swamp, sweaty all the
Yes.
time.
Well, if I ever have the energy to start another company, I like want to start a postpartum deodorant company because I had so much trouble finding like
Yes.
good deodorant after having babies, and it like, and you don't deserve to feel smelly, like you just did.
No,
Like,
I,
so yeah, it's a real problem. I feel like no, I like Googled it so many times after having the baby, and I'm using one called Lume now, but
okay.
and that's been okay. But I don't really like the scents, but I don't have to reapply it as many times as I was for the other ones. So
Yes.
trade-offs.
You know what would be a good one? Like under boob, something that
Yeah.
prevents your under boobs from sweating. Because
Mm-hmm.
it just like, there'll be like a line under my boobs, on my shirt, and
Yeah.
walking around, everyone knows, like right there, like, oh,
Yeah.
under boob sweaty.
Yeah, especially I had that issue I was like a bridesmaid at a wedding, and like the dress, it was like a really, really hot day, and they were like these satin dresses, and just like, I was like, no, this is not gonna be good.
No. Anywho,
Okay.
welcome back to Between Meetings and Motherhood. I'm your host, Alexa Starks. I'm the editor-in-chief of Mothered Magazine, and today I have with me one of the amazing features of our June issue of Mothered Magazine, Ashley Chang Dawson. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Alexa.
And you are the founder of Sundays. It's a executive assistant app,
Yeah.
right? Tell me a little bit more about what it is that it does, what it doesn't do. If I totally got that wrong in my wording, and why you felt the need to really create this.
Yeah. Okay, let me tell you where Sunday started. So, I had been working in the tech industry for a little bit over a decade. I was kind of on the precipice of starting to have kids myself, and as I started to look around me, I saw that so many of the smartest women I knew were dropping out or stepping back kind
Mm.
of right as they got to that level above me in their careers. And I just started to question why that was happening. I'm a really type A person. So I was like, how am I going to make this work if nobody else can make this work? And my mom was actually a software engineer in the Bay Area in the 80s. And then when she had us, felt like she had to choose between family and work. So she ended up staying home with us. And I always felt like my generation was going to be different. I was going to be like the one who could have a career and a family.
Yeah.
I just thought things would be different, but I started to realize that things are not very different, even though it's like 30 years later. And so I started talking to all of the parents that I worked with, and I was like, what makes it so hard? And what does it look like to like balance family and work? And all of them told me that, especially where I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, most families are like two working parents. They work at least 9 to 5, usually more than that, and then they really want to be present with their kids outside of work. And that means that all of the family admin that they need to do for just like day-to-day logistics gets pushed to the weekend or vacation days. And I came from a product background. Originally, I thought I will build an app to solve this problem. We tried a few different iterations of the app, and kind of through that and the research learned that an app really wasn't like the answer. We couldn't standardize all of these things that families needed. They are so diverse. They depend on who's in your family, what time of year it is,
Yeah.
who likes broccoli, what phase of life you're in, those type of things. And so we have an app in the background of what we do, but the core is it's really a service. We have an amazing team of EAs who are moms and caregivers. We have over 40 of them on our team today.
Wow.
So they work with us fractionally, and they support families. And then we also have what we call our founder and family business lines. They'll do like business and family support for people who have started their own businesses or in executive roles where they really want someone to have that whole picture of what's going on for them.
That's amazing. Okay, so it's a chief of staff, executive assistant for your household. Does that mean in practicality, like someone to help get groceries? Is it a nanny to help with your kid? Is it someone to help cook meals? Is it cleaning support or just dependent on what you need?
Yeah, so what we do today is remote, but we will coordinate with in-person support like
Uh,
cleaners and house managers and stuff like that. And sometimes we'll help hire those people and then kind of be the coordinating force behind them. What we really
got
try
it.
to do is take on like that mental load, that like all of the coordinating effort
Mm,
that goes into managing a family, and so much of the time falls on moms because
hmm
I don't know why that is how the world is. And so we try to get all of that out of the mom's head and then
hmm
start to run those systems that keep the family running for them. So that might look like finding them cleaners, coordinating when the cleaners are
Uh-huh.
coming, paying the cleaners, but also understanding like the little things that come up, like calling your pediatrician today for like your son's been had a fever for 3 days and like making sure they're going to call you back and then making sure that insurance claim gets processed, those type of like
Nice.
small like high trust things that are really important, and a lot of people just
hmm
end up having to do themselves.
Yeah. Okay, so literally an executive assistant for you, for your household.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
love it. So you're probably one of the only people I've ever heard of and or spoken to that has created a product for motherhood before they became a mom. Because almost everyone I've talked to went through the struggle, realized the struggle, was like, fuck this, I'm gonna now build something that fixes this. And you were proactive in like, I don't want to get to this point. How do I build it now? So I'm curious, now that you are a mom, what your has experience has been with this. Are you using your own service? Like how has this shown up in your day to day, especially as a business owner
Yeah.
also?
Yeah. So I use Sundays in a couple of different ways. I have a person who um, is like my day to day person at work as well as at home. So I'm really kind of in that founder and family support area. And then I have also
Mm-hmm.
gotten my husband to get a person who helps on the family side for, he also started a company. So we're kind of crazy, but
Nice.
his company offers the family support as a benefit. And so he has a person who
Mm-hmm.
is through Sundays that helps with just pure family stuff, which is
Mm-hmm.
really great if you have a husband who you want
Yeah.
to take on more household mental load.
Taking notes,
Um,
taking notes.
but it's really interesting. I think before I had my son, I was like very, I had similar to any product or service that you build. Like I had done so much research and I had kind of logically understood what are the systems and what does it look like for that support to be there. But I think since having my son, I understand just a lot more of like the chaos that is parenthood and how
Yeah.
unpredictable it is and how quickly it moves. And so that has really helped me. I think our team, I've gotten to learn a lot from our team because they are mostly moms and
Mm-hmm.
caregivers, and they had this perspective already. So I think I'm like catching up to them in that way. But just understanding like the relationship and knowing the person that you're working with so that you can like proactively
Mm-hmm.
be ahead of them with some of these things. So what's really cool is like the person I work with is a mom who I have a 14-month-old son. She has like a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old. So she kind of knows what's
Got
going to
it.
happen for me in the next couple of
Uh-huh.
like months and years. And she can be like, Ashley, here are some things you might want to be thinking about as he's like maybe going to preschool or things like that.
Yeah.
And also like saying it in a way that I can relate to and understand.
Nice. That's awesome. And have you found that like, is there anything now that you're a mom, is there anything you have been like, oh, we need to add this?
Um, I I think I mean, a lot of the things that you originally mentioned around like the in-person support are things that like people
Mhm.
told me about when I was doing the research, but I think I have always, it's a harder business to run to do that. And so I've always been like a
Yeah.
little bit more hesitant. But as I've had my son, and had this support on like this planning mental load side, I do see like how much some of these in-person things kind of, pop up and just like don't like we have a pile of boxes that's like sitting outside in our backyard and waiting for someone to find 20 minutes to break them down. And so I see the value of like the support team a lot more and understanding like where are all of those different areas you need support, and then kind of like doing that coordination, because even if you have those people in place, like that coordination is a lot of work too. So understanding like how do you build this like more complete support system.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, let's talk about you now, because I'm also an entrepreneur and business owner, and so is my husband. So I know how much work goes into running a business, and you have a whole team as well. And your husband is also a business owner. And you have a young kid. So talk to me a little bit about how you not balance it all, but like how do you guys manage all of this? Because especially once you're growing, because you guys are growing quickly, right? There's a lot going on. So talk to me a little bit about how you solve for that.
I mean, it's a really good question. It's something I'm constantly working on and learning. I think, well, obviously there's two pieces. There's like me and my husband at home and how we handle it. And then there's also on the work side growth. We've been working really hard to be able to grow. And I think by doing that on the work side, I am trying to get to a position where I really have people who are like owning different areas of the business. And then I have like the right touch points and metrics to know things are going in the right direction. And I think it's bumpy. Like sometimes I'm like, yes, we're here. And like other people are really managing it. And then like the next day I'm like in meetings all day trying to solve some sort of like client issue. So it doesn't, it's not smooth, but I think overall heading in that direction of like really having great leaders on our team. At home, it's definitely a work in progress. I think that it's tough. Both my husband and I like really want time to be present with our son. But there's also like such limited time during the day. And I don't know, getting Sundays off the ground, I did work like, I would just like work all day. Like there were periods of like several months where I would just like work until like 10 p.m. and like take like a 30-minute break to eat. And that's not something I can do, or I don't want to choose to do that anymore. So we have in our days like really strict time boundaries of like when we have childcare and when we're present, and then trying to decide if like after our baby goes to sleep if we are going to get back on our computers or just like have more of a down time. But I think some of the systems we have today are we did like the Fair Play. I used to have them on my bookshelf, but I don't know if they're here anymore. We did Fair Play. We did it once before having kids, and then we redid it after my son was born. And that was really helpful also because if you've ever done Fair Play, it's kind of like a deck of 100 cards, I think, that outlines all of the things it takes to keep a family running. And if you don't have kids, you get to like take out like 50% of the cards, and then when you add them back in, there's like a nice visual of just like how much more work there is in your life. So I thought that was helpful. And then we went through and redivided like who's going to have ownership of different things in our family, and then also what does like ownership look like. So my husband is like, he's a cleaner person than me. He like doesn't leave any crumbs anywhere and stuff like that. And
I wish my husband was like that.
I'm
he's
like
not.
My husband probably, but bread is like my favorite food, and so I'm always like, well, I had to cut my loaf of bread, so there is some crumbs.
Leaves anyway, so many crumbs though. It's the worst. We had an argument because I noticed he was putting seasoning into the pan when he would cook from like really high up, and so the seasoning would go all over the stove. And I was like cleaning off the stove, and I was like, how is it everywhere? It's like you could see a circle where the pan is, and then it's like around it. And then one day I watched him do it, and I was like, that motherfucker. I was like, hey, just lower it like 3 inches. And this solves it. And he was like, oh, light bulb. Like it never.
Well, he was like imagining himself on a cooking show. He's like, I need to be like.
Apparently.
And it will look like the visual is totally really good.
Yeah. Anyway. Fair play.
But part of the card is kind of discussing like what are your standards for acceptable or excellence for these things. Like how clean do you want your kitchen to be? How frequently do you want like your dog taken to the groomer or like washed yourself, those type of things. And then also that whoever owns that piece is going to own it end to end. So I think a lot of times what happens is like moms will own all of the mental part of thinking of these things, and then they'll be like telling their husband that they have a dog grooming appointment and they need to take the dog. So instead of doing that, it's like, okay, this person is in charge of like dog cleanliness, like the dog, and then you own all the things that go into that. And so that was really helpful for us. I think one, to recognize all of the new work that we have with having a kid, and then also talk about like how do we want to divide it in a way that felt equitable. It's not necessarily 50-50, but like where we both have ownership over things, and also that we both like get to do more of the things that we enjoy doing versus things that like feel more like a chore.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I need to do this because there's a lot that is just in my head. You know, the kids' appointments, pediatrician appointments, they're in my head. They're on our calendar because I put a joint calendar invite. But like that Wednesday will come and I'll be like, hey, don't forget, like Evie has a doctor's appointment at 3 p.m. And he'll be like, what? I didn't know about this. So, okay, fair play. We'll have to do this one. How long did it take you guys to go through it?
Maybe like an hour and a half. Not as I mean, we like had a bottle of wine and we did it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds like you could make it fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We actually also like recorded it with like granola, like this AI thing. So and then had it like send us kind of like the results of what we talked about. I don't know that we've actually like referenced those again, but for some reason in my mind I was like having this like record of what we discussed will be helpful in the future.
I mean, it kind of is, because otherwise someone's going to forget that they decided to take ownership of it.
Yeah. I think there's like some level of, I think the hardest part of something like that is like the accountability piece, and like you don't want to be like, hey, the dog isn't clean. Like, so like, I think having even just the record of it, I think has helped us with remembering some of those things.
That's awesome. Okay, tell me about the pivot from corporate to entrepreneur. Did you start building Sundays while you were still full employed, or did you be like, I'm done, and then start building? And what did that leap look like?
Yeah, I actually left my previous role like not without knowing what I was going to do. So I had been in product management for like over 10 years. I felt like I was in a really good role in terms of like if I wanted to stay there and keep kind of climbing the more traditional career ladder. But I just was like not motivated at all by the idea of that. I was like, I can map out the next like 3 years of what I'll be working on, and I'm just not excited. So I felt like that was the point where I could take this like risk and bet on myself. So I actually just left. And I was also like really burnt out. So I left without a plan, and I gave them like 3 months notice. So it was like a really long kind of like
that's impressive
time. And I loved my manager at that role, so I really wanted to like set them up for success. But so I had a long transition out. I didn't take like a good break, but I kind of immediately was like, I'm going to try to start something, like, what does that look like? And originally I was like, oh, I must start like a B2B SaaS company. Like that's what success is, because I live in San Francisco. And I actually worked on a different idea for like 3 or 4 months. That was like this AI customer support tool.
Oh, funny.
And then realized building that so I was working on this, and the whole time I was like thinking about these like family problems and seeing other people building this space, and I was like, I'm so jealous of what they're building. Like, I guess I'll do that for my next company. And then I realized that like my heart just really wasn't in building this AI customer support tool, and like in building a company you have to do so many things that you don't know how to do and that are really hard, and I just was like not motivated to do that for that other company, and also realized like it was a decent idea, but we were not like the right people to do it. Like there were people who had a lot of expertise in this area. So I took a step back and I was like, okay, that's not working. I still want to give myself a chance to do this. Like, what problems do I care really deeply about? And that's kind of the point where I started researching family stuff. And for me, like, I had no experience in like marketing or go to market. So I was like, how I want to be in an area where I know some people who I can talk to. And this was really cool because I started just reaching out to all of the parents I had worked with, and immediately there was like a snowball of people who wanted to talk about how hard it is to be a working parent. And there was a lot of like clear demand for it.
That's amazing. And I feel like very scary to leave a job without having a clear next step and also income. Like when I left, we had savings because the dual income household, and that helped a lot with the initial cost and covering until we started generating revenue.
Yeah.
That is, and then that's another really hard thing is knowing when to hire next, because you're also going to cut into that revenue. So, because you have a whole team, when did you know that it was right to hire people and expand?
It's a hard question. I knew, so I was the EA for like a long time of Sundays, but I knew that I wanted to build it as not just like me doing consulting. Like if I was doing consulting, I wouldn't do EA work because that's actually like not where my specialty is. And so I wanted to like identify how to solve the problem, but I always knew I was going to bring in other people to do like the day-to-day work. And so I think it was interesting because as I was doing the EA work, I was like, this takes real time. Like you need to put real effort into it. And like, I also need to be doing all of the other things to like start this. Like I need to be finding new customers. I need to be like thinking about how to do this thing that is marketing and all of these other things. So pretty quickly started to hire people, I think. But what was interesting is like the first people I hired were all like fractional EAs. And so they came in doing like part-time work with us, and it was like the work they were paired with clients to do. So it was a while like I was hiring people, but they were doing the work directly with clients. It wasn't like doing work for Sundays necessarily.
Got it.
And then I think about we started growing relatively quickly. I think we hit like, or once I pivoted to Sundays. I worked on this idea for like 6 months, and then I think as we started to like hire more EAs, I realized that there was like training that needed to go into the EA process and like managing of the EAs. And so then I actually ended up hiring a person who had been working with us as an EA to like run our operations team at the time, which was really small. And she has basically grown with us, and she's our head of operations now, and now has like every EA and our team leads and stuff reporting into her. But I did that way before I paid myself. But kind of knew that I didn't have capacity to be doing it, and it wasn't really like in my skill set to do it. So, it just felt like a really critical piece of the work that like needed to be done, and I needed to find ways to like give myself more time to grow more.
That's awesome. I love that. I feel like that's very hard in entrepreneurship. And we recently hired, now we have like a team of 5, and it took a while to get to this point. And I still work long hours, but it's been nice to take off some of the work that you don't enjoy or that you're not best skilled for. And so that you can actually focus on what you are good at. And so, I think you talked about something about pivoting. And I think that's important because I've pivoted in my business several times, but I feel like no one talks enough about pivoting, and that it's like it's an acceptable part of entrepreneurship. And you kind of almost have to pivot so that you can find the right iteration of what works, so that you don't, because what is the statistic, like I don't know, 70%, 80% of small businesses fail within the first year or two. And I feel like so much of that is really because either the discipline it takes to grow is not, it's not fast, right? It's not going to be overnight success. And very often you either run out of runway of revenue or money to hold you over, or you just didn't pivot because that idea would have worked great if it was just in a slightly different form, right?
Yeah.
And pivoting's hard. Like you have to accept that this didn't work, that I just sunk 6 months of my time and energy into. Maybe I should try this way instead. And as an entrepreneur, like there's no boss that's going to tell you, hey, actually, you
Yeah.
should do that. You have to do it yourself. And that's scary.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, well, one of the hardest things I think moving from corporate to being your own boss is just like the definition of success is like you have to come up with your own definition of success because you no longer have this like I got an A plus or I got a promotion type of thing. So that's really hard. And then I totally agree with you on pivoting. I think it's like a pride thing a lot of times. It's really hard emotionally on yourself because you really want the idea that you have to work. We did this one really big pivot from like solving a totally different problem to what we do now. But then even once we started working on Sundays, I think there was like this big experimentation phase where like we did a lot of small pivots. Like I started out thinking, what if it's an app that people submit requests to and then like there are people on the back end and then the biggest problem that people are talking about is like meal planning. Like should we build an app that's more focused on meal planning? And then ultimately came to what we do today. But there were a lot of like smaller pivots along the way. And I think that what I like reflect on is that it's really like understanding like what problem you're solving, not necessarily what solution you want, is like what is most important. So if you really stay focused on that problem and then also talk to your customers about if you are solving the problem or not, that's like the best way to absorb the pivots that you will have to make and make sure you're kind of headed in the right direction.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, I want to, I want to talk goals and vision, but for personal and Sundays. So for you personally, what is your vision, your goals? How do you see yourself wanting to grow in the next few years, let's say? Personal side.
It's a really good, it's really interesting because I think I'm like re-envisioning what this looks like now that I have my son. I think that I am now just like thinking on a much longer time horizon because like before I would feel like everything needs to be like, I would set like 6 month and 1 year goals and then I'd be like, who knows what happens after that? But now I'm like, okay, I have this baby, like he's not gonna be a baby anymore, but hopefully he's gonna be like here for a long time and for all these different pieces of life. And so that has me thinking just longer term about like, what do I want personally and what are the trade-offs that I want to make about what my life looks like in the meantime. And yeah, so I think I'm still reimagining it a little bit, but I definitely, we want to grow our family, want to continue growing Sundays and having a big impact there. And also thinking about, and I know you talk about this a lot, Alexa, but just like, what does working parenthood look like? How can we like, Sundays is a solution given like the way that the system works today, but like the system is like, it's so messed up. And so how can I like, having kind of created this business and this voice and this space, like what are other things that I can do to like help change the system and what it looks like going forward? And also what does that like whole support system for parents look like? And how do we make it more accessible to them? So I think that there's like Sundays and then like thinking about just like, I care so deeply about this problem overall and how do we think about all the different ways that we can change that for parents? So that's my personal side that obviously overlaps heavily with Sundays too.
Because they are linked. As a business owner, it is what you're putting in. So tell me then, where do you see Sundays growing? How do you see it growing into the next few years?
I think right now we really are focused on like growing our core business. we have done a lot in the last year, I think, to really understand like what are the services we offer and how do we do them right every time. And so,
Mm-hmm.
and I have really good teammates in place now, so I'm
Yeah.
like, I think we can scale. Our goal, we last year we saved parents 25,000 hours. Our goal is like in the next 10 years to save parents 1 million hours. So we want to grow pretty
Wow.
significantly. Um,
You want to go
and
global or stay in the US?
ooh, that is a good question. Um, we are coming to you, Alexa.
I
No,
know,
right
I
now
know.
yeah, right now we're staying in the U.S. I think what we've seen is like the cultural knowledge is really important to how you support families. So if we went to other countries, we help people like in Canada today, but if we were going to go into other countries, we would want to have like local people there too.
Hmm.
And so I don't think we're quite ready to do that yet, but I'm open to it.
Yeah.
And then the other piece is just like creating more jobs for moms. I think we have a really amazing team, but every time we interview for roles, we talk to all of these amazing parents who are like, I've been searching for the ability to do meaningful work and have my family in
Hmm.
there, just like, and be able to go to soccer practice and stuff like that. And there just are
Yeah.
not a lot of roles like that. So um, the more I work here, the more I'm motivated to create more flexible roles for working parents.
I love that so much. And I agree. I mean, I've spoken to so many moms. I wish I could hire like 100 moms
Yeah.
because like it is truly so amazing when you can work a part-time flexible job and it pays you enough that you want and you can go to your kid's soccer practice and you can take a sick day when your kid's sick or have them be on a call with you and
Yeah.
nothing like happens like because we know we can get it done. Um, so I love that so much. Uh, okay, I want to sort of wrap this up with um, by the time this comes out, our the maternal strengths report is coming out, and it kind of shows that motherhood increases your executive, your leadership skills, right? So I'm curious what leadership skill you think has increased the most since becoming a mom.
That is a really good question. Um, I'm not sure if this is like always a leadership skill, but honestly, I think my skill I've increased most is patience. I think that I'm going to say two, I guess. Patience, because I think normally I am a person who like likes to jump in and solve things and get them done myself immediately. And I think both with my son and through scaling my company, I'm in a place where like I actually can't do that. Like I can't learn to walk for him. I can't learn to talk for him, but I can like support him in those things. And um being able to take on that more like structural support role has been really helpful for me. And then also seeing like how awesome it is like when he does something for himself and like being so proud of him has been really cool. So I think that as I've been scaling the company, that has been a really nice perspective to see of like getting myself to create roles that other people can be successful in and supporting them, and then like seeing how much better they do it than me and how awesome it is when they really have ownership over it. Long term has been great. And then I think the second thing is just resilience, because like the world is much more chaotic with a baby, and there's a lot of whiplash between like a baby crying on my leg and then getting on a podcast to talk to you, and um,
Hmm.
just being able to like still do it is something that I've learned I can do.
I love that so much. That was amazing. Thank you. Okay, and where can listeners find you and find Sundays online?
Yeah. So our website is withsundays.com. So WITH Sundays with an S, .com, is where you can see like all of our core information. And then we are on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn with
Hmm.
Ashley Chang Dawson. It used to just be Ashley Chang, so now you can hopefully find me with the two last names. And then we're also on Instagram, same name, and then Sundays is with underscore Sundays on Instagram too.
Amazing. And we will link to that, all of those in the description as well. So if you're listening to this, you can find those links in the description. And if you're listening to this, that means that our June issue of Mothered Magazine has come out, so you can read Ashley's exclusive full interview online at motheredmagazine.com. Thank you so much, Ashley, for joining us on our podcast today. It's been an absolute blast talking with you. Thank you so much.